The Galactic Council Chamber, a vast dome constructed from crystalline alloys that shimmered with the light of 100 stars, was alive with heated debate. Representatives from over 300 species, each unique in physiology, culture, and temperament, had gathered to address a crisis that threatened the delicate balance of galactic unity. At the heart of the discussion was humanity, a young, enigmatic species that had managed to confound the Council like no other in its millennia of existence. "This cannot stand," thundered Volrath, a hulking Thrixian ambassador whose mandibles clicked with irritation. His towering, insectoid form loomed over the smaller delegates seated nearby. "Their silence is a direct insult to the Council. We have extended every courtesy, followed every protocol, and still, they refuse to acknowledge us. Are we to tolerate this insolence?" "Insult? Insolence," countered Livier, the serene ambassador from the aquatic Yalari. Her voice was calm, though her bioluminescent scales flickered with unease. "Humans have committed no crime. They have violated no law. Their silence may be frustrating, but it is not aggression." "Not aggression?" Volrath snapped, slamming a clawed hand on the polished table. "They destroy our probes. They refuse our emissaries. Their fleets grow larger by the day. What else could this be but preparation for war?" The chamber erupted into a cacophony of voices, each representative contributing their own theories about humanity's motives. Some, like Volrath, were convinced that humanity's actions pointed to hostility. Others, like Livier, argued that the humans' refusal to engage might stem from fear, distrust, or even cultural misunderstanding. At the head of the chamber, Counselor Jelana Vryn, a poised member of the Arden Collective, raised a slender hand to restore order. Her species, renowned for their wisdom and diplomacy, often played the role of mediators within the Council. "Enough," she said, her voice amplified by the room's acoustic enhancers. The delegates fell silent, their gazes fixed on her. "Speculation will not help us. What we need are facts. Humanity's behavior is unprecedented, yes, but that only makes it more important that we understand their motives. We cannot allow fear to drive us to rash actions. And how do you propose we understand them?" asked Karn Davos, a representative of the Zoltan Trade Syndicate. His serpentine features twisted into a sneer. "They've ignored every attempt at communication. If anything, they've made it clear they want nothing to do with us." Jelana took a moment before responding, her gaze sweeping across the assembled delegates. "We sent another envoy," she said firmly. "One final attempt. We approach them not as an alliance demanding compliance, but as equals seeking dialogue. If they refuse, we will reassess." The chamber buzzed with murmurs of discontent, but no one could deny the logic of her proposal. The Council had to try, if only to avoid the catastrophic consequences of a misunderstanding. The preparations for the mission were swift. The Unity's Light, a state-of-the-art diplomatic vessel equipped with the latest in defensive and stealth technology, was chosen for the task. Its crew was a carefully selected mix of species, each bringing unique skills and perspectives to the mission. At the helm was Counselor Jelana herself, her calm demeanor and experience making her the ideal leader for such a delicate endeavor. As the ship departed from the Council's central station, its departure was watched by billions across the galaxy. The stakes were clear. This mission would either open the door to understanding or confirm humanity as a rogue threat. The journey to Earth, the heart of human civilization, was uneventful. The crew used the time to review every scrap of information the Council had on humanity, which, frustratingly, wasn't much. Humans were a paradox. On one hand, their rapid advancement from industrialization to interstellar travel was nothing short of astonishing. In just a few centuries, they had achieved technological milestones that had taken other species millennia. On the other hand, their refusal to engage with the wider galaxy was baffling. Most species leapt at the chance to join the Council, eager to access its vast resources and knowledge. But humanity had withdrawn into its corner of the galaxy, fortifying its systems and maintaining an eerie silence. As the Unity's light approached the Sol system, the crew's anticipation turned to tension. The ship's sensors picked up numerous automated defense satellites along the system's outer edges, each armed with advanced weaponry. The satellites didn't attack, but they sent a clear message. The humans were watching. "This is it," Jelana said, standing on the bridge as Earth's blue and green sphere came into view. "Transmit our greeting." The ship's communications officer activated the broadcasting array, sending a carefully worded message in multiple human languages. "To the leaders of humanity, we come in peace on behalf of the Galactic Council. We seek to establish dialogue and understanding between our peoples. Please respond." For several tense moments, there was no reply. Then, the ship's speakers crackled to life with a flat, automated voice. "You have entered restricted space. Leave immediately." The crew exchanged uneasy glances. Jelana remained composed. "Transmit again," she ordered. "This time, emphasize our peaceful intentions." The message was sent, but the response was the same. "You have entered restricted space. Leave immediately." "This isn't working," muttered Karn Davos, who had reluctantly joined the mission. "They're not interested in talking. We've come too far to turn back now," Jelana replied. "Take us into orbit." As the Unity's light drew closer to Earth, the situation escalated. Hundreds of human warships emerged from hidden positions, surrounding the diplomatic vessel. Their designs were unlike anything the crew had seen, sleek, efficient, and bristling with weapons. "This is your final warning," came another automated message. "Turn back or face destruction." Jelana hesitated, weighing her options. To retreat now would be seen as weakness by both humanity and the Council, but to push forward might provoke an attack. She activated the ship's main broadcasting array, addressing humanity directly. "We mean no harm," she said. "We only seek to understand. Why do you isolate yourselves? Why do you reject diplomacy? Please let us speak." For a moment there was silence. Then, to everyone's surprise, a human voice replied. Unlike the cold, automated warnings, this voice was distinctly human, calm but firm. "Leave. Now." The message was cold and final. With heavy hearts, Jelana and her crew had no choice but to retreat. The mission had failed. Back at the council chamber, the news of the failed mission was met with shock and dismay. The humans' refusal to engage had left the galaxy with more questions than answers. Why did they reject diplomacy? What were they hiding? And most troubling of all, what were their intentions? As the council debated its next steps, one thing became clear. Humanity's silence was no longer just a curiosity. It was a threat, a closed door that no one could open. The Unity's light returned to the Council's capital amidst a storm of speculation. Delegates from across the galaxy gathered in the Grand Chamber, their faces tense and their voices heavy with anxiety. The failure of the diplomatic mission left the galaxy teetering on the edge of panic, and the Council chamber reflected that unease. Counselor Jelana Vryn, shaken but composed, stood before the assembly to deliver her report. The holographic projection of humanity's warships, captured during their encounter, loomed above her, a chilling testament to the humans' power and their readiness to defend themselves. They said nothing beyond their warnings to leave. Jelana began, her voice steady despite the murmurs that rippled through the room. Their fleet did not fire, but their message was unmistakable. Humanity does not want contact with us. They are willing to enforce their isolation, even at the cost of conflict. The chamber erupted into noise. Representatives from warlike species like the Thrixians and the Zoltan Trade Syndicate called for immediate action, while more cautious species like the Ilari and the Arden Collective urged patience and understanding. "They're hiding something," Volrath declared, his mandibles clacking with agitation. "No species builds fleets like that unless they plan to use them. We must act before they do." "What would you have us do, Volrath?" Livier countered, her calm demeanor a stark contrast to the insectoid's aggression. "Launch an unprovoked attack? Risk war with a species we barely understand? That would be madness. Madness is doing nothing while they prepare for conquest. Volrath snapped. Jelana raised her hand, silencing the chamber. We do not know their intentions, she said. That is the heart of our problem. Humanity's refusal to engage leaves us blind. We cannot make informed decisions without more information. But how do we obtain that information? Asked Karn Davos, his serpentine form coiled in frustration. Our probes are destroyed, our envoys turned away. They've closed every avenue of communication. Jelana hesitated, knowing the weight of her next words. We send reconnaissance probes, she said finally. Stealth drones equipped with the best cloaking technology we have. We observe their actions from the shadows, learn what we can. It is a risk, but one we must take. The chamber fell into a tense silence. Spying on humanity was a dangerous proposition. If the humans discovered the probes, it could escalate tensions even further. But no one could deny that the Council needed answers. After a lengthy debate, the resolution passed. The Council authorized the deployment of reconnaissance drones into human territory, though not without considerable trepidation. The probes enter human space. The first stealth drone, designated Eclipse 1, slipped across the border into human space, its cloaking systems humming silently. The drone was equipped with advanced sensory arrays, designed to gather as much data as possible without being detected. At first, its journey was uneventful. The drone drifted past empty star systems, its sensors picking up faint traces of human activity. Automated mining operations on barren moons, orbital stations humming with energy, and isolated colonies fortified against unknown threats. But as it ventured deeper, Eclipse 1 began to uncover the full scale of humanity's militarization. Massive shipyards hung in orbit around resource-rich planets, their scaffolding alive with activity. Fleets of warships, ranging from nimble frigates to colossal dreadnoughts, patrolled human space in precise formations. On the surfaces of key planets, sprawling military installations bristled with weaponry and defensive grids. The data streamed back to the Council in real time, each image and report adding to the growing unease. What are they preparing for? Murmured Livier as she studied the holographic projections in the Council's war room. War, Volrath said grimly. The question is whether it's against us or someone else. The final transmission from Eclipse 1 sent shockwaves through the Council. As the drone approached Earth itself, it captured a single, chilling image. A vessel under construction in orbit, far larger than anything the Council had ever seen. Its sleek, angular design radiated menace, and its sheer size suggested it was a flagship, a symbol of humanity's power and ambition. Before the drone could send more data, it was detected and destroyed. The Council received only static in its place. The Council's response. The destruction of Eclipse 1 plunged the Council into chaos. The loss of the probe confirmed what many had feared. Humanity's detection systems were more advanced than anticipated. Worse, the image of the flagship under construction seemed to validate the most dire theories about humanity's intentions. They're building a war machine, Volrath declared during an emergency session. A ship of that size isn't for defense. It's for domination. If we wait, we'll be handing them the galaxy on a silver platter. We don't know that, Livier said, though her usual calm was tinged with unease. Their actions could be defensive. They may perceive us as a threat. And why wouldn't they? Karn Davos interjected. We've sent probes into their space, ignored their warnings, and treated them like a problem to be solved. If they're preparing for war, we may have driven them to it. The debate raged for hours, with no clear consensus. Some representatives pushed for a preemptive strike, arguing that humanity's growing power posed an existential threat to the Council. Others insisted on continued observation, fearing that aggression would only provoke the humans further. Jelana, seated at the center of the chamber, listened silently, her mind racing. She understood both sides of the argument, but she also knew that any decision made in fear was likely to end in disaster. Finally, she spoke. We cannot act out of panic, she said, her voice cutting through the noise. Humanity's actions are concerning, yes, but they have not attacked us. They have not violated galactic law. Until they do, we must assume their intentions are defensive, not aggressive. And if you're wrong, Volrath asked, his tone accusatory, then we will face that threat when it comes, Jelana replied. But if we strike first, we will become the aggressors. That is a path we cannot afford to take. Reluctantly, the Council agreed to delay any military action. Instead, they would focus on bolstering their defenses and gathering intelligence. It was a fragile compromise, one born more out of uncertainty than unity. Fear coursed through the galactic community like a virus. News outlets from every corner of the Council's domain ran continuous coverage of humanity's enigmatic silence, their growing fleets, and the destruction of the stealth probe. Public opinion, once merely curious about the humans, shifted toward suspicion and outright fear. Rumors flourished, some claiming the humans had discovered ancient, forbidden technology, others suggesting they had unlocked the secret to weaponizing entire planets. On the Council's capital world, Jelana Vryn convened an emergency meeting with a select group of allies and advisors. The chamber was smaller than the main council hall, its walls adorned with holographic displays of intercepted data, star charts, and grim projections. We cannot allow fear to dictate our actions, Jelana began, her voice calm but firm. If we move too quickly, we risk igniting a war that could consume the galaxy. We must find a way to de-escalate this situation. Livier, seated across from Jelana, nodded in agreement. I propose we reach out again, not with emissaries or probes, but with something they cannot ignore, an offer that speaks to their self-interest. And what would that be? Karn Davos asked, his serpentine features skeptical. Technology, Livier replied. Humanity's advancement has been rapid, but they lack the centuries of refinement that we possess. If we offer them technological cooperation, they may reconsider their isolation. That's assuming they trust us enough to accept, Volrath interjected, his tone dripping with doubt. They've shown no interest in dialogue. Why would they change now? Because we have something they want, Jelana said, her gaze sharp. Humans may be secretive, but they are not irrational. If we can convince them that cooperation benefits them more than isolation, we might yet avoid conflict. A new proposal. The Council drafted a bold new initiative, a transmission to humanity offering technological knowledge in exchange for dialogue. The message was crafted with care, emphasizing the potential for mutual benefit, while avoiding any implication of weakness or desperation. The broadcast was sent on every frequency humanity was known to monitor, translated into their primary languages. People of Earth, it began, the voice smooth and measured. We are the Galactic Council, a union of countless species united in the pursuit of knowledge and peace. We understand your reluctance to engage with us, but we believe that together we can achieve more than we can apart. We offer you access to our scientific archives, our technological advancements, and our collective wisdom. In return, we ask only for dialogue, a chance to understand your perspective and share our own. The choice is yours. The Council waited in tense anticipation, their collective attention focused on the communication hubs monitoring for a response. Hours turned to days, and still, there was silence. Then, a week later, humanity responded. The response. The message arrived not as a transmission, but as an artifact, an unmarked drone that appeared without warning in orbit around the Council's capital. Its sleek design and precision movements were unmistakably human. The drone transmitted a single data packet before self-destructing. The data contained humanity's response, a stark, formal message devoid of emotion. We acknowledge your offer. Your technological knowledge is of interest. However, we do not require your assistance. Your presence near our systems has been noted and is considered a violation of our sovereignty. We advise you to focus on your own affairs. Further encroachments into human territory will not be tolerated. This is our final communication. The council chamber was silent as the message was played. The tone was clear. Humanity had not only rejected the offer, but had also issued a thinly veiled warning. This is unacceptable, Valrath roared, breaking the silence. They dismiss us as though we are nothing. They refuse to cooperate, refuse to explain themselves, and now they threaten us? This cannot stand. Calm yourself, Valrath, Jelana said, though even her composure was strained. We have learned something important. Humanity is watching us more closely than we realized. They are aware of our actions and our intentions. That suggests they fear us, at least to some degree. Fear us? Karn Davos sneered. It seems more like they disdain us. If they truly feared us, they would seek alliances, not issue ultimatums. The chamber erupted into heated debate. Some delegates pushed for immediate military action, arguing that humanity's rejection of diplomacy left no other option. Others urged caution, warning that aggression would only confirm humanity's worst fears about the Council. Jelana, caught between these factions, felt the weight of the galaxy on her shoulders. She knew that any decision now would shape the future, not just for humanity, but for every species in the Council. A show of force, under mounting pressure, the Council authorized a limited show of force. A fleet of diplomatic escort ships, heavily armed but officially designated as non-combat vessels, was dispatched to the edge of human space. Their mission was to demonstrate the Council's strength without provoking open conflict. The fleet arrived at the Sol System's border, its presence carefully choreographed to appear defensive rather than aggressive. Messages were broadcast, reiterating the Council's desire for dialogue, but also warning against further hostility. For 3 days, there was no response. The fleet maintained its position, its sensors scanning for any sign of a reaction. On the 4th day, humanity answered. Humanity's retaliation. Without warning, a swarm of human warships emerged from the darkness, their arrival a synchronized display of precision and power. The Council's fleet found itself surrounded, outnumbered and outmaneuvered. A single transmission was broadcast from the human flagship, a stark, chilling statement. You were warned. The human ships did not fire immediately. Instead, they unleashed an electromagnetic pulse that disabled the Council fleet's communications and weapon systems. The message was clear. Humanity could have destroyed them, but chose restraint. The Council ships were left adrift, their crews helpless as the human fleet withdrew. Hours later, the Council managed to reestablish contact and recover their ships, but the damage was done. Humanity's message had been delivered with devastating clarity. The Council in disarray. Back in the Council chamber, the mood was grim. The failure of the show of force had shaken even the most confident representatives. Humanity's overwhelming response had proven their military superiority, while their decision to spare the Council fleet suggested they were not reckless, but neither were they afraid. This changes everything, Jelana said during a closed session with her closest allies. They've shown us that they are not to be trifled with, but they've also shown us restraint. Perhaps there is still a chance to avoid war. Livier sighed, her bioluminescent scales dim. If there is, it's slipping through our fingers. The other species are growing restless. They see humanity as a threat that must be neutralized, and if we act against them, we may doom ourselves, Jelana replied. But if we do nothing, fear will tear the Council apart. We are at a tipping point. As the session adjourned, Jelana stared at the holographic image of Earth rotating above the central table. Humanity's silence had become deafening, its implications more ominous with every passing day. The galaxy stood on the brink, unsure whether the future would bring peace, war, or something far more terrifying. And at the heart of it all was a single, unanswered question.